job. Congressman Scott Rigell of Virginia, a friend of our program, joining us from the Hill, and also Boston Property CEO and Chairman and CEO Mort Zuckerman joining us. Chairman joining us as well. All right, Congressman, let me start with you first on this. You say, look, it's a disgrace that all of your fellow lawmakers have fled Washington to their summer homes.
Well, it's a work period, and some members will be working very hard. That said, we have not completed our work here in Washington. Only 4 of 12 appropriations bills that the House is really required by law to pass have been passed. When we come back in September, Betty, we'll only have 9 legislative days to pass 8 appropriations bills. It just can't be done.
Well, not only that, there's only going to be 3 weeks until the debt ceiling has to be, decided upon.
And, you know, as a business person turned public servant only in the last 2.5 years, I just cannot grasp this idea of us turning out the lights here in Washington when we are so far off track of where we need to be. Now, look, in the House, we control the calendar, and I've been clear with our leadership and my colleagues. I spoke to leadership directly,
right,
to our conference, and I've been very public about this, and I'm afraid that, like you said, we're going right into the debt ceiling negotiations without our appropriations bills passed, and it's not our finest hour here.
And you think it's well, I'm going to put words in your mouth. You say you think it's a disgrace. Okay,
I'm incensed about it. I really am. It's hurting our country, Betty.
All right, you're too nice. I know. Sometimes you're very nice, Scott, and so I'm going to put those words in your mouth. But Mort,
all right, I'm with you. That's appropriate.
Mort, let me bring you in. You agree? You agree with the congressman?
Yes, sure. He's got a very good point. The greater the certainty of what's going to be coming out of the Congress, the easier it's going to be for the economy to take whatever does come out and act on it. And so uncertainty is not something that helps a weak economy. In fact, it diminishes a weak economy. And we have to figure out a lot of new policies that are going to turn around this economy. And it is a very tough thing. We all understand that Congress needs a vacation. Sometimes we would like them to take a longer vacation, but in this particular case, I think we've got real issues to deal with, and they should have been dealt with sooner rather than later.
The problem, though, of course, is that we're dealing with now a deficit that is smaller than what it was 2 years ago, and so it makes the idea of further spending cuts, it makes it a little bit harder for particularly Democrats to swallow more.
No, without question, but that issue is really it's compared to what? You know, I would call it the evil of 2 lessers. Yes, the deficit is somewhat smaller, but the deficit is still a huge issue. And without the deficit, frankly, I think this economy would be under even worse conditions than we're working with now. I'm not saying we spent the money wisely or well, because I think we have a $1 trillion plus deficit almost every year. And frankly, it doesn't show very much for it, because I think it's been badly directed. But having said that, we cannot afford to go into a situation where the federal government now runs, at this stage of the game, a balanced budget, simply because it'll take that much more money out of the economy at a time when the economy really needs whatever the government can spend.
Right, but then, Congressman, with your Republican colleagues, again, it's going to be harder for you to press for further spending cuts when the deficit's going in the opposite direction of what would convince Democrats to do this.
Well, you know, I'm fighting for common ground and common sense here. Growing our economy is the principal way that we need to navigate through this, unleashing the tremendous potential we have to create jobs with energy. I just returned from a trip to coastal Louisiana and saw firsthand what they're doing there. Tremendous economic engine. We need to bring that same coastal Virginia energy opportunity to my district.
Yeah.
The administration at present is holding that up, but Mort's right. And I tell you, if he had a business unit, for example, Betty, that was struggling and failing, and he said, now, what's your plan?
Congressman.
And he said, well, the plan, okay.
We run out of, Congressman, thank you so much. We run out of time, but always great to have you with